Hello, I'm Momita Bakshi Chatterjee, and with me today is Cisco Chairman and CEO Chuck Robbins. Sir, many thanks for speaking to PTI.
It's great to be here.
Let me start off by asking you about your India visit. This is your first visit since 2019. What's on top of your agenda? Who all are you meeting, and what are the big announcements that are lined up?
Well, first off, I would say that having not been here in 4 years, the energy here is incredible. And I think that during the pandemic, while it was a stressful time, it's clear that India made tons of progress on digitization. And as we were talking about earlier, the ambition of India is very clear. And I think the momentum that I've felt here over the last few days is incredible. I met with the Prime Minister, I've met with several ministers, and we talked about a lot of topics. Obviously, the most important one that they want to talk about was our commitment to manufacturing here in India, which we're announcing this week.
So tell us about the manufacturing plans, because government schemes like PLI have really tried to push manufacturing in India, and India is actually positioning itself as a global manufacturing hub. We have seen big names coming in, looking at India not just as a domestic market, but also from an export point of view. What are Cisco's manufacturing plans? How soon will you be starting? Which are the locations? And will you look at India both from a domestic point of view and also India, make in India for the world?
Yes, so it's, I think that 4 years ago when I was here, I met with the Prime Minister as well, and we talked about it a lot. And I did talk to him about some of the concerns we had, some of the things that made it more difficult to make the decision. And a lot of those have begun to change over the last few years. I think that the overall ecosystem is beginning to create a presence here, which is really important for us. But we're actually, we're launching with a contract manufacturer partner immediately, and we think that we should have first products off the line in about 12 months. We're starting with two of our highest volume products, one of our switches and one of our routers that are actually widely used in India. But to your point, we're viewing this and going to use this as a global export hub as well. So we're building a full manufacturing node just like we have in other places, and we're really excited about it.
That's big news, sir. So you would be actually, this would be through contract manufacturers, Foxconn and Jabil, or some other vendor?
Well, that's how we do it. We have relationships with all of them, and we haven't announced who we're going to do this with yet, but it will be one of our partners that actually does a great job for us.
And over a point of time, what are the range of telecom products that you would manufacture in India?
Our plan is to start with these two and then expand the product line from there. So we think over the next few years we'll have a broad array of products that'll be being built here. And I think it's just the beginning for India. It's clear to me that this is going to be a major manufacturing hub. We've already seen one of our suppliers actually make the move with us, and I told the Prime Minister that we would probably be one of his best recruiting engines for the supply chain ecosystem, because it's good for us when our suppliers actually create a presence here as well, and so we're excited about that too.
Which location are you looking at for manufacturing, sir?
We're going to be in Chennai.
In Chennai. Okay, wonderful. About this whole macroeconomic environment, there are geopolitical shocks, there is a US banking crisis, a lot of macro headwinds. I wanted to ask you how you look at demand for digital services. Do you see it irreversible and accelerating in the long term?
I think one thing that we learned during the pandemic is every executive in the C-suite and every head of state, every political leader around the world experience technology in a way they never had before and understands the true power of what technology can do. And so we see, look, I'm sure that whenever there's any sort of slowdown, every company has some sort of exposure to it. But my view is that the strategic value of technology and digitization is not going to slow down. It's key to every country's success, like what we've seen here in India over the last few years. It's key to every company's success, and I think that while it may move at a slightly different pace, it's going to continue moving forward because it's just too important.
How do you look at the India story, and what is fueling this optimism about India? What are your hiring plans for this market?
Well, we already have, between direct and indirect, we're in excess of over 30,000 employees in India, so we've been here for over 27 years, and we view it as a key investment area for us as we go forward. I think I'd leave India this week with a very clear view that this is our #1 growth opportunity over the next decade. It's just with the population here, the commitment to technology, the technology savviness of the leadership here, the technical capabilities of the population here, a large portion of the population, the commitment to capacity building and skilling. I mean, when I met with Prime Minister Modi yesterday, the range of topics and the depth of knowledge that he has on technology and the vision that he has set for this country is just astounding. And it's clear that India is on the journey and is marching forward.
So what were your discussions with the Prime Minister, and did you commit an investment number for this market?
No, we didn't commit an investment number. We just basically said we're going to continue to invest, and as our manufacturing is successful, we'll continue to invest. I mean, the topics that we talked about range from obviously manufacturing. We spent a lot of time on skills and the work that our teams are doing. We have a program called Cisco Network Academies that has trained over 1 million Indians. And we have a commitment over the next 24 months alone to train 500,000 cybersecurity certified specialists, which is creating a lot of capacity, and then we'll continue from there. So we talked a lot about skills. We talked about AI. That was a big topic. We talked about 5G. We talked about sustainability. So there were just a lot of topics, and again, his level of depth of knowledge across those was pretty impressive.
How do you see the pace of 5G rollouts in India? We started in October last year, and there is a huge speed at which, breakneck speed in fact, at which 5G services are rolling out for consumers in India. How does Cisco see that opportunity?
Well, we've been at the heart of that with your carriers here in India. We've been great. They've been fantastic partners for us, and we've enjoyed working with them. And India has probably had the fastest 5G rollout of anywhere in the world. I think it's so important because, as you're thinking about creating opportunity for everyone in this country, high-speed connectivity is the first step. And the great news is 5G gives us an opportunity to get high-speed connectivity virtually everywhere. And so I think it's really important, and I think the leadership in the country realizes that in order to achieve what they want to achieve, that's a very necessary first step, and the companies that are delivering those services are doing a fantastic job.
Is 5G going to be a big bet for Cisco in India?
It already is. It already is a big bet, and we actually talked about whether we should be working on research and development around 6G and perhaps working together here. So yeah, 5G is a massive investment area for us. And particularly all the networks that actually have to be built to support the high speed at the edge is a big part of what we've been doing here. So
I wanted to also bring you on the digital public infrastructure that we talk about. So India has a identity system, which is Aadhaar. There is a payment system. There is a e-commerce platform now, ONDC. Do you see India leading the way, and do you see a global acceptability of the India stack for the world, for the developing nations, especially at a time when India has the G20 presidency?
Well, I think that again, we talked about the speed of 5G, the speed at which these digital identity, digital systems were built for the individuals here, I think was incredibly impressive. And I think that many countries around the world, a lot of countries around the world have done it, probably not at the scale that it's been done here, and probably not at the speed that it was done here. And I do think that it's a great capability to export and help other countries, and I suspect that that'd be something that would be helpful for the Indian economy as well.
So India is also working out different laws and legislations and regulations on the data safety side, privacy, data protection, even the telecom space. The Digital India Act is in the offing. How does Cisco look at these regulations in India, and are there any concerns, or do you have any views so far on how these regulations are shaping up in this important market?
No, we actually think that privacy is a basic human right, and we actually support legislation that helps maintain the privacy of individuals' information. And so I think that what we've seen the government here do is really shift the regulatory environment to encourage investment. And I think that's been a big driver for foreign direct investment, much like what we've done and other companies have done. So I see the shift not only around privacy, which is really important, but also the shift towards encouraging investment here, which is good to see.
Tech companies have announced, they have slashed tens and thousands of jobs. Is there more pain, more layoffs in the offing? You, for instance, have also talked about right-sizing of certain businesses. What impact is that going to have on your India plans?
None. No, it'll be the same that it would be anywhere. I mean, we have look, ours was not a cost-related issue. Ours was related to us needing to your point, to right-size a business and invest in another business. So we just needed different skill sets quickly. It turns out the numbers that we actually had, ended up impacting were much lower than we initially thought. So it's hard to say what's going to happen across the industry because I think there's so much uncertainty on a macro level right now about what's going to happen with the economy. But there's nothing unique to India other than it being a key investment area for us as we go forward.
India is also a hotbed for startup ecosystem. Do you see more collaboration between Cisco and the startup ecosystem here?
Yeah, that's another topic we talked about, and how do we create an environment. We've been involved in several countries around the world that have really accelerated these startup communities and created incubators and have companies like Cisco come in and mentor founders. We create partnerships with some of these companies. We actually invest in some of them. We've acquired some of them here in India. So we think it's the next natural step is to really fuel the startup ecosystem here and really get it amplified over the next 1 to 2 years. And I think with the skills, the capability, the energy, and the overall excitement around digital technologies here in this market, it'll be amazing to see what comes out of here.
I'm going to try my luck and ask you again about on the investment plans. Is there any number that you can give us? How is Cisco looking at infusing investments into this key market? Any figures, any numbers for, let's say, next 2 to 3 years?
Well, the initial number we believe will generate that will actually either build for consumption in India or export out of this factory is $1 billion. Our products are very complicated. Some of our products have over 20,000 components in a single product, but then we'll ramp from there and we'll see. But I mean, we're investing in our Bangalore facility with the R&D in resources we have there. We're investing in skills across the country. We're talking about investing in research and development in certain areas. We talked about silicon and semiconductor research. We talked about 5G, 6G research. So we're going to invest in areas that make sense, and there's lots of opportunities for sure.
Which are the markets that you would be exporting your products from India once the manufacturing takes off?
Well, we'll be certainly in the region itself, but we've also talked about exporting even into Europe, so it's going to be a broad geographic region.
You met Mr. Mukesh Ambani yesterday. How was that meeting? How did that go? And who else were you meeting during your trip?
We met on Monday, actually, and we've had a long partnership. We helped them build the network that they built, and we've had just continued discussions around what's next and what can we do together. So it was a great session. We had a good conversation. We met with several of our other customers as well, several ministers and the Prime Minister, and met with CII this morning. And then headed to Bangalore tonight for a couple of meetings in the morning, and then we're going to see our employees tomorrow afternoon, which will be fun.
Would you like to leave us with some key messages for the India market? How does Cisco look at India in the short, mid, and the long term?
Well, I would have to say that coming here 27 years ago was probably one of the smartest things we've ever done, and I've never been more excited about the momentum here. I mean, it is the infrastructure. Even feeling the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, as I've moved around the country this week, it feels different. It feels like it's definitely, you see it getting better. The digital infrastructure has clearly had significant investments. I think that when you talk to the government leaders, the consistency around the single mission of what they believe that they can achieve for India is very clear, and we're excited to be a small part of it.
It was an absolute pleasure speaking to you, sir. Thank you for talking
Thank
to
you.
India. We hope you'll be back more sooner next time.
I think I'll have to be given the growth opportunity here.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, sir.